officer for it.
Okay, we were just talking offline. I went live while Tony was giving me the background. I'll let him give that explanation to us live in a moment, what he's working on now. But I want to introduce you guys here to an amazing human being. He helped me a lot when I was at my Tony Robbins event, and we've stayed in touch ever since over the last few years. I went to Business Mastery in Florida. What an amazing event it was. Allowed you to kind of break through that glass ceiling by kind of believing in yourself, investing in yourself, finding the right advice, if you will, from the right people, with the right network of people around you and surrounding you, especially the people giving us like legitimate advice, like Tony here. So he was my head coach on our team. We had some fun with our creative ideas and how you kept us, like contained us like that lion behind you, to kind of go in the right path in the right direction with your advice. But I'll let you kind of give you an introduction of yourself and your background here.
Sure. So, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 30 plus years, right? I've been pretty much out of the gate practically. I got into real estate when I was 18 and then I'm still in real estate, yet I've gotten into a lot of businesses over the years, probably 13 or 14 at this point. Um, and like I said, I've invested and done every side of just about every side of the real estate market. I've bought, flipped, sold, ground up construction, consulted. I've owned commercial portfolio, residential portfolio. I've been in businesses like bar, restaurant, nightclub, equestrian center. Yes, that's horses, 44 stalls, just kind of like some really kind of interesting businesses. And I'm currently actually the chief visionary officer for a little nutraceutical company called Nourish Me. So it's nourish.me. And we have some amazing products that, one specifically, they're all right around this product called curcumin, but it's curcumin. It's an extract from turmeric, and we're just radically reducing inflammation, giving people their lives back. So helping with that. That's certainly something that's changed my life. So something we can talk about later. One of the other things that I've been doing for the last 21 plus years, I've been involved in personal development, and I started doing that in the search for my own for my own growth, to get away from my own limiting beliefs and the bullshit stories that I had and why I couldn't do and everything else. So I've been with Tony Robbins for the last 21 years, really first as a student, then crewing the events and went to all those events, and then became a senior leader in his organization. Now for the last couple of years, I've been a trainer, which that's how we met, right? Was at Business Mastery, which is such an amazing event. If you've never been to a Business Mastery event, by all means go. It is a game changer. Certainly, I would invite you to check out the Unleash the Power Within, the UPW. We just wrapped one up now this weekend. It really is a game changer. And it started off there. And, I've been to multiple Business Masters at this point. Certainly has helped my business. And I've been able to help thousands of people go through not just the Business Mastery event, but the UPW and Date with Destiny, and outside in the regular world, so to speak. That's what I do as well. I'm a life and business strategist, helping people take their life and business from where they are to where they want to go. So passionate about that, and that's a little bit about me. Um, so let's go. I mean, I know we're going to have some interesting
Let's
conversation.
get up and grow. That's Tony's
Yeah.
hashtag. Whoever's out there live, whether it's hashtag live, hashtag on the replay, but I want to see the comments. Get up and grow, because what Tony mentioned was about unleashing the power within. That's what we want to kind of touch on here, is unleashing those glass barriers, those glass ceilings that people may have, and there's like a limiting belief or a mindset shift that can actually just explode the way you think. I mean, just playing off of Logan Paul's speech last night, you can be anything you want to be if you put the work in. I mean, I was so like humbled to hear him say that. I don't know much about Logan Paul. I know he's popular and a big YouTuber, and he got in the ring with the world's greatest because he put his mind to it. So he didn't have a limit on his own thinking and thought process. So kind of diving in here, Tony mentioned he's the chief visionary officer, and I think that's so important to talk about vision and like people's relationship, mostly with money. I think that's where a lot of stress is accumulated. I'm sure there's a lot more things around it and before it, but I think people's relationship with money is like an important topic to kind of understand, because we were talking offline about like who to go for advice and what causes people to make certain decision making patterns. What's your take on that particular topic?
Well, there's a lot there. First of all, I'll just hit the get up and grow. That's something that I started hashtagging a couple of years ago because, and I'm not going to get into that whole story unless you want to later. Um, we all fall, right? In our past, in business and in life, we all fall. And most of us just get up and go. We just get up and go. We just keep going and we keep going. We fall, we get up, we keep going, we keep going, keep going. Challenge is when you just get up and go, you just keep going through the same things. What we need to do is we need to get up and grow so we can grow through what we went through. Otherwise, we just keep going through the same thing, living the same mistake, making the same, with the same mindset, with the same limiting beliefs, whatever it is. We need to stop and grow through what we go through. Right? That's what the whole get up and grow really stands for, because when we fall down, it's an opportunity to learn. And when we get up, we grow, or we have the opportunity to grow. So every time we fall, we have the opportunity to get up and grow, right? Because it's about learning from the mistake that we had. And it's so epically important to remember the mistakes. And we can come back to the mistake and we'll almost call it the anatomy of a mistake, right? We can come back and touch on that. Right now, we'll talk about what people's relationship to money and success and everything else is. It really all depends. So many times people get stuck in their own story because of where they've been. We're all creatures of habit and patterns and everything else. And we've learned those patterns and those habits from when we were kids. So I know that I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was a kid from a little country called Portugal. And growing up was tough, right? And, we never had a lot, there was a roof over our head and food on the table. Yet there were a lot of other challenges that we're not going to get into. One of the things, though, is that relationship with money, mine was broken. And I didn't realize it because when I was in my 20s and I started doing well, I'd get to the point that I just, it seemed like I was always making that just about every year for a couple of years. I'm like, why is that? That's because, we could all be our own best friends, our own worst enemies. We could be our saboteurs. And I saw that I would sabotage myself. And I caught that only when I went to Tony Robbins, and I've learned so much as you have and so many others have. I realized that, I hit that comfort zone, and growing up and when I learned about the relationship with money component, where my thermostat was set and what my relationship to money was, it just changed the game. Because what I was looking at, the relationship I had with money, was that growing up, money's hard. You got to work really hard to get your money. And I don't disagree with those statements. What I do disagree with, however, is, the rich guy, the boss was always the bad guy, was always the enemy, right? Oh, they're rich, yeah, or the rich screw the little people. So that's why we can't get anywhere, or whatever. The rich people are screwing the little guy, always screwing the little guy. The rich people, bad, poor people, good, whatever, right? Blue collar, whatever you want, but rich people, bad, rich people, bad. And we've seen this, time and time again. The villain is usually super rich in a movie, or, it's usually the villain has the financial ability, right? So they've got all the money, and usually the victim is the little guy. And that's something that's propagated not only through maybe growing up in our parents, but through media and through television and movies and games and everything else. So growing up as a kid, you learn this. And as you grow up, it's programmed in you. So you start making a fair amount of money. And if you haven't learned it, it gets, and maybe your number's 200,000, maybe it's 300,000, maybe it's 100, whatever that number is, maybe it's 1 million, but you get to that point, you never just make, many people, not everybody gets stuck here, but a lot of people get stuck there. One of the reasons they get stuck is they don't want to become the villain. That, if that rich person was hurting, my mom and dad, were this or that, and they felt victim. So you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that rich guy. I have no problem with that, right? Yet in our minds, our subconscious is keeping us down because we don't want to lose the love of those that we love. And the other thing is, there's people around you that will sabotage you for fear of losing you. Because if you start doing much better than them, then you're going to be able to step up and they're not going to be able to carry on. So they'll try to sabotage you. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones that are doing this. Some of them will do that not intentionally, not to hurt you. They'll do that out of love because they don't want to see you get hurt. They don't want to have you take that unnecessary risk, quote unquote, unnecessary. Of course, I think risk is necessary in life and business, yet they'll try to keep you from doing that because they don't want to see you get hurt. So they do it out of love and they try to hold you down. Then others, of course, like I said, they just don't want to lose you. So out of love, they try to hold you down because they know it's not good for you, but yet it's all about them and they don't want to lose you. And then, of course, you have the third type that they'll just try to keep you down just because they don't want to see you succeed. And keep in mind that a lot of people want to see you succeed, just not more than them, right? So you've got to be careful who you're surrounding yourself with, which will kind of go right into the other thing. So that covers money and the relationship with money. It also covers, or starts to cover, what we spoke about off screen as well, was people fear failure, in some cases, as much as they fear success, right? They fear failure because what are others going to judge of me? So people don't take risks. When they get to a certain point, they're making a good amount of money. They're like, well, I'm good here. I'm not going to tempt it. I'm not going to try any harder because what if it doesn't work and I fail? And what's everybody going to say or think about me? So out of fear of rejection, out of fear of judgment, out of fear of criticism, people don't take the risks that they need to take to get to that next level. Again, not everyone. Certainly, there are people that do take the risks and it work out. Sometimes you take risks and it doesn't work out. Yet the reality is, I think I want to give the credit to the right place. C.S. Lewis, maybe, I'm just drawing a blank on it now, is only those who risk going too far will ever know how far they can go. T.S. Eliot, sorry. T.S. Eliot is whose quote it is. So sometimes we have to take those risks to get to the other side, right? So, but we fear that. We fear the failure. And at the same time, going back to that relationship with money, we fear success because is it going to be overwhelming? How much more am I going to have to work? Am I going to be able to handle it? Who am I going to lose along the way? Whatever that case is. So you really got to, there's a couple of things there. You've got to work out your relationship with money and ask yourself, what's my relationship with money? And perhaps the question is, money is it the root of all evil? Because that's what a lot of people will respond right away, except it's not. That's nowhere in the Bible. The love of money is the evil component, right? It's not money isn't evil, it's an inanimate object. It's how you use it. It's a tool. That's like saying hammers are evil, right? It's a tool. So fixing that relationship with money is going to help you get to that next level. And of course, fixing that pattern, that thought pattern of fear of success or fear of failure, really fear of criticism, fear of rejection, understanding that, are you really being rejected? And if you are being rejected, by who? And are those the people that you really want to have in your life anyway? Because I'll just drop another quote by Dr. Seuss, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind, right? So get out of your own way and understand that criticism is going to come with success. Criticism, as a matter of fact, is the tax you pay for success. And if you're not willing to pay the tax, you may not be ready for the success you say you want. And the reality of it is, you look around, other people's opinions, and you've heard this from the big man himself, Tony Rodrigues, other people's opinions are none of your business, right? Have you ever tried to pay your bills with other people's opinions? That shit don't work out so good.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well. But no, I'm glad you went through that. I think one of the drivers for me, fear was the motivating driver initially, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I first started. So the fear of failing drove how hard I would work, because I didn't want to go back and look at my friends or even my family and saying, hey, this guy, this moron, this kid didn't know what he was doing, just started a business. He's probably going to fail. So that kind of drove me to say, let me just work. I'll outwork the skill I don't have. Just so I can, once I accomplish the skill level, then things get easier. Kind of like working out. After a while, it's painful. You may have to try harder than other people that are ahead of you. But once you get to that point, then things become more effortless until you decide to push yourself beyond the limit so you can get to that next limit. So that was kind of my initial driver. But one of the things you mentioned, like to roll this into like the people in this group, the relationship with money is such an important thing, because in any space. I don't care if it's coaching, I don't care if it's a gardener, a dentist, a tax preparation company. I mean, people feel uncertain when they've invested in something and then it didn't work. Like, how do we like kind of talk about people's relationship with money where they know they need the necessary help? They felt like they've not like got what they wanted when they invested, and we're talking about who to go for advice. Like, what do you say to that person that's stuck, that you want to coach them through and saying, hey man, like, I know you've invested in the past, but that does not predict your future.
Well, listen, the past does not equal the future unless you live there, right? And that's the reality. The other thing to remember is who are you taking advice from? Because there's a lot of people that are out there that are teaching the program or teaching the course, and everybody these days is a coach. And if you're a coach, this isn't really a shot at you, or maybe it is. I don't know if the shoe fits, I guess, right? But there's a lot of people that are out there that are that call themselves a coach, yet they've not been where you want to go. And the most expensive mistake you'll ever make is to take advice from the wrong person. So what I tell people all the time is don't take advice from anyone that you're not willing to switch places with, in whatever version of your life. And certainly you can take advice from somebody who's happily married, but their business is failing, perhaps. But you're not asking them advice about your business. Ask them advice about their relationship, right? If their business is their relationship is falling apart, but they're killing it in business, ask them about business advice. Don't say, oh my God, you're so great in your business. Can you give me some relationship advice? No, it's my 7th marriage. It's probably not a good idea, right? Well, I'm really happy. Oh, cool. How long have you been married? 20 minutes. Okay. So make sure that you're taking advice from the right people, that you're not taking advice just from someone who's got advice to give, right? Don't take financial advice from the homeless guy on the street. Probably not a great idea, right? So who you're going to advise is epically important. And the other thing that's really important on that as well is understanding that not everybody's the same. And a lot of people don't invest because they're afraid that they'll fail. They're afraid that this product also won't work. Again, it's going back and dealing with that fear and having people understand that that they've got to have faith in themselves as well. And understanding as well that what got you here, if you're stuck, what got you this far isn't going to get you where you need to go. You need that extra little bit of help, even if it's just somebody that's going to hold you accountable, somebody that's going to help guide you, right? That's going to help say, hey, listen, here's a tip, here's a strategy, something you maybe haven't thought of. Because so many times people say, well, you got to think outside the box. Well, I got a couple of things on that. Number one, if you're in the box, you don't know you're in the box half the time, right? And there's a lot of people that say, well, think outside the box, think outside the box. Well, I've got a friend of mine, Dan Clark, that says, what if the answer is still in the box and you've just forgotten what you've forgotten, right? What if the answer is going back to the basics and doing it again, right? And a lot of people don't want to do that. Yet perhaps the answer is still in the box. Maybe it's not in the box at all. Hell, who says there's even a box?
I
Right?
love that.
I mean, when you just open up too many cans there.
Yeah, when you brought up back to the basics, that's so important because I mean, I teach that to my internal team from my marketing agency side, where I just talk about like Kobe Bryant's routine in the morning. When he wakes up, he's doing the basics, doing meditation, going to the gym early, doing warm-ups, shooting free throws, basic dribbling exercises, basic pivots and movements. So I mean, like he's doing the basics as a habit day in, day out, so that he could actually uplift his skills and do more moves or do fancy shots or contortions with his body. And that's kind of where I look at it with business, is that if I'm teaching sales, I still have to be at least on some sales calls. If I'm teaching like how to lead a team, I also have to be able to lead a team.
You got to eat your
So
own cooking.
yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
The business coaches out there that have never owned a business, they may know the mechanics of it, but until you've had to pen that check, until you've had to throw 20 grand out of your savings account into it this month to cover salaries, until you've been down that road, you can't possibly know. There's people out there talking about selling and investing in real estate, yet they've never owned a home, and they're still riding your mom's couch in the basement. Listen, you may know it really well and your product might work, but if you've never done it, I just don't know, and then, listen, I'm on Clubhouse a lot, right? I don't know if you're on there yet. I've been spending a lot of time, or I should say investing a lot of time in it, because there's been just a tremendous amount of opportunity that's opened up because of it. Yet there's people that are on there that talk about how they do this, they do that, and I can show you how to do this and show you how to do that. People say, but how can you tell? They say that, this real estate and that, and they can do this, especially in real estate. I said, well, ask them how many properties they've done, how many properties they own, how many properties they flipped, how many properties they've bought, how many properties they've owned in the past, even if they don't own any now. And they may lie to you, or they may say, well, I haven't actually bought any myself, in which case you should probably run. And if that's you listening right now, whether you're on either side of that, it's just the truth, right? And if you are somebody that's teaching someone, and I love that you said that, Rahul, by the way, that you said, if you're teaching sales, you still need to be on some sales calls. If you're teaching how to run teams, you need to run a team. You just need to know. Just like, listen, I will never go to marriage advice to a priest, to a Catholic priest at least, because they don't get married. They're not married to a woman. They can't possibly know. They can have heard the stories but they don't know, because they've not had the experience, right? Again, nothing against priests, nothing against people who go to them for advice. Yet again, you can't ask advice from somebody who's never been where you want to go, or who's never even been where you are, right? So that's super important. And going back to something you said before, and it came up, but of course I'm not going to blurt it out, because and this is a quote by Les Brown, and I'm always dropping a quote here and there, and this one is deep because of what you said earlier, and what you said about Kobe Bryant and so many others and this is a quote by Les Brown. It's this: if you do it as easy, your life will be hard. But if you do it as hard, your life will be easy. Well, why is that? Now let's just break that down. If you do what's really easy to do and convenient, then it's easy to do. But yet when something hard comes across your table, you're screwed, because you've never done the work. You've not worked out. You've not gone to work out that muscle. So you can't possibly deal with the problem. Or you may be able to, but it's going to beat the hell out of you. Yet if you do what is hard, and you're doing those reps, and you're making those difficult calls, having those difficult conversations, the next difficult conversation that comes up, piece of cake, it's easy, because you've already done the work, right? So write that one down. Do it as easy, and your life will be hard. But if you do it as hard, your life will be easy. And that's actually so true. And to quote another great, Muhammad Ali said, when he's doing sit-ups, he only starts counting when they hurt, because those are the ones that really count. Because it's easy to do what is hard, even when it's easy to do. It's not easy to do it as hard when it's hard to do. That, however, is what is really going to test our mettle, so to speak. That's what's really going to sharpen our sword, right? Otherwise, we're just going around with a popsicle stick, calling it a sword.
Yeah, I mean, that's when the roads meet, preparation and opportunity. And that goes to the hat, where you can actually, like, the more prepared I am, the more opportunities that come, the luckier I get. There we are. We got matchies. Look at that. I got the Live Lucky. Love it. Mine's from the great Aria Hotel. It's funny. I was sitting. We had met, a bunch of friends went. I met a couple that was there. We're sitting poolside, and I brought up you and Tony Robbins, the event, because they had gone, so we had some common ground there. And I just said, yeah, I just really want to get this Live Lucky hat. I just don't know where. I haven't seen one. And I didn't even think to go buy it online or anything. I just, for whatever reason. Anyways, long story short, we see them about an hour and a half later, and they came to me with this hat. Like, we got you one.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I was pretty
It's a
happy.
good little anchor, right? It's a good anchor to the event. This one, actually, this one says be a blessing. And then it says, blessed.
Yep.
Right. So when I wear it, it's just an anchor. It's a reminder, because we are all so blessed, right? We're blessed to have an opportunity to be here on this call, to listen, to be breathing today. Every day is an opportunity to be better and to do better. So listen, so much there. And again, just continuing to grow and evolve and become a better version. I'd like to believe that I'm a better version today than I was a month ago, than I was a year ago. And hopefully next month I'll be a better version. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be a better version of who I'm supposed to be than I am today. Because that's the game of evolution and of life. So just grateful to be part of the ride here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I mean, that's all we can count on is we want to. I'm glad you said that because we want to get better every day. We don't want to. Nobody woke up and said, "I hope I'm backwards tomorrow. I hope I'm worse in my bank account tomorrow." So, I mean, the steps you do today will impact your future. Also, the steps you don't take today will also impact your future as well. So, I think a lot of us at the top of our mind know exactly what we should be doing, yet we're fearful to do that because of two outcomes: number one, success; number two, failure, and that causes delays and excuses. I kind of relay this back to a Kobe Bryant story and Dwayne Wade. I just talk about circumstances. There's some people feel like they're victims of certain things, and things have happened to them. Where Dwayne Wade, one of 13, single parent in the hood, growing up, he had options. What he chose is success. He chose to own the Utah Jazz. He chose to be one of the greats of all time. Same with Kobe Bryant, probably an easier circumstance. Professional basketball player as a father, got to travel Europe, be around the game he loved in his entire life, playing with professionals as a child. So both had two different circumstances. One on paper, if you read the stories, one's destined for a straight line to success. The other one is destined for who knows what, toss a coin. But they both made choices and they both worked hard. They both made it to the top and are the GOATs, the greatest of all time. So I think like everybody kind of should think about that your circumstances, if you have one, don't necessarily predict your future. It's your choices that do. And anybody can get to anywhere. I mean, look at Logan Paul. I mean, dude fought Mayweather, and even listen to his speech at the end. I mean, a lot of people probably think he was a douchebag or whatever pre-vetted opinions they had of him. I just went open-minded, and I liked the dude after that speech. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant marketer. But after you got to actually hear the human, I mean, this guy just literally said anything is possible. He's like, if I'm fighting Floyd Mayweather on this stage, anything is possible. So
Absolutely. Anything is possible, right? And to what you were saying, is the decisions that we make that are going to change our destiny. And while we're free to make the decisions that we want, we have the freedom of choice. We're not free from the consequences of those choices. And we can choose to step in, lean in, and do the hard stuff first, right? Again, the basics. Most people, I love this line, by the way. Most people don't die of starvation, they die of indigestion, right? They die because they have too much. They die because their business is, they've got so much business they don't keep up with it, that, and they're, because at times they don't, they stop doing what they did. So that's what one of those cases that, perhaps uh perhaps the answer is still in the box, right? That's one of those situations that the answer may still be in the box because you maybe just aren't doing what you were doing in the beginning. You're not taking care of your customer service. You're not handling things the way you should. You're not returning those calls. Keep in mind, actually, now that we're talking about customer service, think about this. In an environment, and it has been, now it's, people want, it's weird. We're in a weird situation because now people almost want more touch, even though they don't want to touch because it's COVID and everything else, or has been. Yet we were coming through an era of no touch. The less you can speak to the customer, the better off you are, right? That's the way it was. It was really super hard, still is super hard to get a human on the phone, super hard to communicate with people. Yet when they finally do get somebody on the phone, they're interacting likely with the lowest paid employee in your company. Think about that. Your most important asset, your client, is, and when they finally, after being frustrated, trying to get to somebody, they get to somebody, and then they're dealing with the least paid member of your team. And then the least paid member of your team probably may not be doing the best job possible. So there's also a different way of rethinking customer service, of rethinking how you're handling the customers, and being more touch, having more of the personal touch when you're dealing with clients. And many times in business, we forget that because we
mhm.
get comfortable. And like I said, that's when one of the answers is still in the box. So you got to go back to basics and run those exercises, run those routines that we know, yet we forget to do. The other thing that came to mind when we're having these conversations is, not only is it the people that you go to for advice, it's the people that you're spending time with, right? The people that you're spending time with, because more often than not, we're hanging out with our old friends, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I have a lot of amazing people in my life. Yet there's some people that are negative. That, doesn't matter what you say. Dude, it's too freaking cold. Dude, it's so freaking hot today. Oh man, we haven't had any rain. God dang, it's raining again. Same
Mhm.
person, different day. So they're never really happy. So they're this curmudgeon, they're whatever, and they're dealing with their own stuff. And that's the conversation we're not going to get into. Yet, you got to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the people that are going to inspire you and lift you higher, right? You got to be more loyal to your future than you are to your past. You got to start hanging out with people, not that you have a past in common with, but that you have a future in common with. Doesn't mean you don't hang out with the people you have a past in common with. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you need to also hang out with people that you have a future in common with. Meaning, you've got to surround yourself with people that are doing what it is that you want to do, that are already where it is you want to go, right? And that's because we've all heard this. Jim Rohn's line is, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Growing up is birds of a feather flock together. You lay down with dogs, you get fleas, and all of those other little euphemisms, right? uh, the reality of it is, you do become the average of the 5 people you spend time with. If you're hanging out with 5 people that are broke, you'll be the sixth. If you're hanging out with 5 people that are making 200 grand a year, you'll likely be the sixth. At some point, there'll be an opportunity. If you're hanging out with people that are really doing well in life and in business and everything else, you will be the sixth. And if you look around your circle of friends, they're not inspiring you, they're not challenging you, they're not that forcing you to grow beyond your comfort level and kicking you out of the comfort zone and challenging you to be better and do better, then you don't have a circle at all. What you've got is a cage. You've got people trying to hold you down instead of lifting you up. It's that whole bushel of crab story that you may have heard. Inevitably, you're in a fish market. There's always a crab trying to claw themselves. Why is it? The basket is open. They've got claws. Why don't they climb out? They just don't. Every now and then one tries to climb out, and all the other ones are hanging on to him. Do you suppose they're hanging on to him like a lifeline so that he can help them out of the basket? The answer is no. They're trying to keep him in. They're trying to keep him in the basket. And so many times we look around, the people that are in our lives are doing the same thing. Again, many are doing that out of love. Some are just want to sabotage you. Just make sure that you get the hell out of that basket. If you can bring someone with you, awesome. Don't be a crab, right? Don't be a crab for anybody else, and don't let yourself be clawed onto like that. Start hanging out with more people that you have a future in common with and not just a past.
That's such a great statement. A future in common with. I mean, think about that for all you guys that are going to watch this now and on the replay. Think about where you want to be. Find people that have something in common with a common goal. I mean, you guys could be at the same state together that have a future in common, and you can find a mentor, a leader, or whomever, however you want to get to that next level. But what Tony mentioned before is, would you switch places with the person that's giving you advice? Think about that for a second, because there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of wolf in sheep's clothing out there. So just make sure that you do what's best for your future.
And here's the
And
thing. I'm just going to throw this in because I can't let it go by. There's also a lot of sheep in wolf's clothing. There's a lot of sheep in wolf's clothing. Yes, there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of sheep in wolf's clothing saying that they're wolves and that they're lions and that they're beasts, right?
sure,
Yet there's just a sheep in wolf's clothing trying to teach you how to be a wolf.
right,
Does that make
100%.
sense?
And yeah, no, 100%. You're absolutely right. And with that being said, like I know that we're talking about like people's relationship with money. I kind of want to end it with like, a lot of people get burned. Like how do you make the patterns of decisions? Because like in this space, in the coaching and the marketing and whatever, it doesn't matter the industry really. Like you've been burned, and we talked about the past doesn't always make the future like clear. It doesn't make just because you hired somebody and it didn't go your way. Like it goes back to your personal decisions, your fear of failure or fear of success. Like what causes that mindset of skepticism to create a blocker, because so many people have so much talent that they just need a tweak in their life,
And
but then they're stunned.
yeah, because there's a lot of people that are out there that have done the wrong thing, that I have hurt people, that whose program really isn't all that. Or like I said, I'm going to say it again. So I guess it was great that I said it before, that are actually just a sheep in the wolf's clothing or the lion's clothing, but they're not really a lion. They can't teach you to be a lion if they're not a lion themselves, right? A warrior, nobody can teach you how to fight unless they know how to fight. We had the match yesterday, the fight yesterday. Well, guess what? Their coaches while they may not have been professional fighters, they can fight, right? They know the mechanics of it. They can sit there and spar with you. They may not be the best fighter to and have the title yet, but they know how to fight. There's nobody that's just sitting there from the sidelines saying, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that." Well, if you can't show them how to do it, then you don't really know how to do it. So it's important to, number one, find the right person, and number two, you've got to commit. You've got to be committed, because it's in. Look, listen. A lot of people buy programs, they do things, and then they come home and they put it on the shelf. And instead of having self help, they actually have shelf help, right? Because it just sits there on the shelf. So you've got to commit. When you do join the program, you've got to be all in. You can't be kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You've got to jump all in, because a lot of programs work, but you've got to work the program, and you've got to have a certain response. You've got to accept responsibility that I am going to have to make this work. So if you're speaking with Rahul, you're speaking with me, you're speaking with whoever it is, and that person is resonating with you, you got to find out who they are, what they do, and what their credentials are, where they've been, what their story is, right? Then you say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to work with that person. Then you've got to do the work. It's not just about, taking the class. Now, what I wind up doing, and look, there's people that disagree with me, yet, when somebody signs up to work with me, and is I say, okay, this is the amount, they pay it up. And then, session 4 or 5, we sit down and say, hey, so how's it working for you? Is it working out? Are you getting what you want? Yes, it's been amazing. No, it's really not what I expected. Okay, well, what did you want? What could be better? And then they tell you, because I want the opportunity to shift and pivot, because not everybody's going to learn the same way, right? So give
Yep.
them the opportunity to shift and pivot. Yet, and there's other people that you hear about all the time that they go through the program, they're halfway through, they're really unhappy, they're just angry, and yet they're being forced to still take the coaching or doing whatever, or they lose their money or whatever. I'm not a huge fan of that. At the end of the day, I don't want anybody blasting me, and I don't give them a full refund either. I charge them for the time that they spent with me, and I credit the rest, because I don't want to work with anyone that doesn't want to work with me. And if they're not doing their share, and if they're not doing their piece, yeah, they may be penalized at one session or whatever it is. But if they're not doing their share and they're failing at it, then that reflects badly on me as well. So I want to either pivot to correct that, or let them go, and without having them come and say, well, Tony's program sucks, or I was working with Rahul. Everyone, by the way, everyone that works with Rahul succeeds. By the way, for the record. So make sure that you're checking out this guy's program, because he's a master of what he does, marketing genius. So definitely check him out, and if you haven't had the opportunity to work with him yet, you should, because he really has it going on, and I'm sure that that will absolutely expand your business and take you from where you are to where you want to go. So that's the way I do it. I want to make sure that they have a positive outcome, that everybody that signs up, because listen, I only take a handful of one-on-one clients, of course, because I am still running other businesses. I've got 2-3 other businesses that I'm running. I mentioned to you that I'm the chief visionary officer for Nourish Me, and so there's a lot of things that I've got going on. So I take a limited number of one-on-one clients throughout the year, and of course, there's some things that I do that we've spoken about, perhaps doing a retreat, being part of it, where you come in with one piece. And I think we've spoken about that before. That's definitely a conversation to revisit. So there's a lot of things that are happening, but it really is about you committing to you committing to your future, knowing that what got you this far likely won't take you where you want to go. And finding a professional, finding someone that's been where you've been, that's done and understands what it is that you're doing, is pivotally important. Is incredibly important.
Well, that was powerful. I mean, I think like we're coming to the top of the hour, so I think we end it with that powerful message. Unless you have something else. By the way, thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate that, and I'm in 100% agreement with you. Is that, I mean, people have to do the work. They have to take self accountability. They still have to have that dream and vision that they started off with when they started the program, and willing to eat dirt, if you will, to get what they want. To get there, put in the reps, put in the hard work, because that's what it takes. There is no easy way, otherwise everybody will do it. Simple things become easy over time, and then you stay with the basics to grow your and go up the ladder. And likewise, we don't want to work with people who do not want to work with us, or are constantly the Debbie Downers, like when you talked about the circle of friends. there are those people in groups too that can poison the group.
Absolutely. You think so many people are like, well, I don't want to rock the boat. No, rock that bitch. Rock the boat. If somebody falls out, they weren't supposed to be in your boat anyway. Chances are, if you really look fast enough, you think everybody's wrong. There's one sucker drilling a hole in the bottom of the boat, right? So you've got to be careful. You've got to watch your six. Actually, matter of fact, that's something I started saying about a year ago is watch your six, meaning watch your back, make sure that your six got your six, and make sure you're watching them to make sure that they're all you're all going in the same direction, right? Because if somebody's drilling holes in the bottom of your boat when you're not looking, that's not really helping anyone at all, right? So it's really important. Your peer group is everything, absolutely everything. And bottom line, you were saying something before, and it sparked another one. It says if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it, right? If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. You'd get bored anyway, right? So the question is, we all have to ask ourselves, because, and again, here's another Tony Robbins quote. The only reason most people don't have what it is they say what they want is because of the bullshit story they keep telling themselves as to why they can't have it. What is the limiting belief that you're dealing with? And that's something that you can absolutely work through. That's something that I love working with people through, is getting them through that hump, getting them to get up and grow through that bullshit story that they keep telling themselves as to why they can't have it, because your father said this, your mother said that, your ex said this, your ex-partner, you're this or that, or whatever it is, or the story, well, I failed at that before. Well, that doesn't mean you fail again. The reality of it is, if you have to start over, the beauty of it is you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, right? You're starting from experience. So, and so many people say, well, I'm just tired of starting over. Well, another famous line that wasn't mine to create was this: if you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. Learn to rest and not quit. Because so many people quit just before the breakthrough. There's that statement that says it's always darkest before dawn. And I swear it took me years to understand what the hell that meant. Well, at least what my interpretation of that is that it's always darkest before dawn. In other words, when it's when it's the most painful, when it's the most difficult, people give up. But that's the breaking point. That's the breakthrough point. We've all seen that meme on Facebook and on other social media posts that there's guys digging for gold and he finally just gives up, and the guy on top just keeps on going. And there's diamonds, like if he just put in another 2%, if you just went another 2 degrees higher, water only boils at 212 degrees. You can get it to 210 and it ain't going to boil. 2 degrees is what it takes, right? Putting in that extra little bit of effort. Just when you think you can't go any further, you can. Just when you think of, I think this was I'm not sure who said it, maybe Benjamin Franklin, whoever it was, or Thomas Edison. Just when you think you've tried everything, remember, you haven't. So just push a little further. There's a little bit more fuel in the tank. All you got to do is go a little further, because it is always darkest before dawn. And if you're in the worst situation right now of your life, don't give up, because the breakthrough could be just around the corner. And that's what I want people to understand and to remember, that most people just give up a little too soon. And in today's world that, everybody just wants something for nothing and it's supposed to be easy and I'm entitled to this. No, nobody's entitled to shit. You're entitled to what you work for. So get out there and make things happen. Nobody's going to do it for you. So that's just something that was on my mind. I figured I'd drop it in here. And there was something else I wanted to share. Now I can't remember what it was, but let's keep going for another few minutes. I don't know how much longer you have. And by the way, my little speech before was not intended to end the show at that time.
That was a perfect like monologue right there. That was so brilliant right there. I mean, it's just a punch in the face and a gut check to not make excuses, because you control it, not somebody else. Nobody did anything to you. You got to do what's best for you. If something bad happened, snap back up and get back on the high horse. I mean, that's just the way of life. You got to have that mentality, and especially that minor meme. That's such an important meme to really think of. And I know that so many people use that and show it and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is, just be open-minded about it, because it's true. It's
Yeah.
that 2 degrees, that boiling point analogy. Think about that for a second. If hot water boils at 212 degrees and you're stopping at 210, you don't have boiling water. You're 2 degrees shy. That's important. But one of the things really quick before I forget is you taught me to watch the like you taught me watch the six. I remember when we did an interview, I think you were at the airport and you said that.
Yes.
I'm like, what the hell does watch my six mean? And then I had to, I think you either told me or I Googled it. And it was like, watch your back.
Yeah,
And then have those people watch their back. So it's like, yeah, you got that coverage. That's what a company is as you're growing the company, you need people to watch your back, take care of your customers. So they become those raving fans that we talked about over at Tony Robbins event too.
absolutely. Listen, raving fans are where it's at. You know, just having a happy customer is so passe, as the saying goes. You don't want just a happy customer. Happy customer
Yeah.
may buy again, may not. A raving fan customer, not only will they continue to buy, their client for life, but they're going to refer people to you on a regular basis. You know, the kind of thing that says, "Oh my God, you're in pain. You got to try this corky product." Which, by the way, you know, I'm going to put in a shameless plug. I'm part of this company, Nourish.me. That's Nourish with no O, so NURISH.me. I started taking this product about 3 months ago, and no, it is not an MLM, by the way. Not that there's anything wrong with MLMs, but it is not an MLM. I started taking this about 3 months ago, and it just radically changed my life because I don't sleep well just because of pain, rotator cuffs, and that sort of thing, just accidents and things that have happened in my life. I live with the level of pain used to. I started taking this stuff. It's just been a game changer. I can sleep through the night and whatever. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So much so that I became a raving fan customer. So here's how, you know, life happens. I become a raving fan customer. I start talking to everybody about it. I'm on Clubhouse. I've got, you know, I've got a pretty decent following there. If you guys want to look me up, just look me up, Tony Rodrigues at on Clubhouse. And I started just sharing with so many people, and let's just say, I'm not going to drop any names, but there's a lot of bigger people that you and I know that are now taking the product. So I've expanded the product so much that then the guy just, David comes to me and says, listen, I love, you know, what you've done and how you're showing up. And he invited me, and I'm, you know, into the company, and I'm part of the company now as the chief visionary officer, helping expand the brand and taking this to the world. Not because I need another job, yet this is just part of, you know, easing suffering in the world. And, you know, like I said, we're just radically reducing inflammation, giving people their lives back. Absolutely amazing, absolutely impressive. Is it easy? No. But you know what? The reality of it is, again, if it's easy, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? So I just encourage you to you, not you necessarily. Yeah, also you. Just remember that things are going to happen. You know, yet those negative things are always going to happen, but it's only 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond. Because how you responding versus reacting is important. And learn to respond and use your head and respond with your head, right? Not just with your head, but with your heart, right? Making sure that, you know, that you're not making an important decision at the peak of emotion. If you're super excited, it might not be it may not be a great idea to run off to Vegas to get married, you know, tonight, right? Just saying, maybe it is. Yet when you make a decision at the peak of emotion, high or low, that means your intellect is low. So just remember to you know, I say this all the time: follow your heart, but take your brain with you.
That's a great way to end this thing. Think about that. That's an important part. Don't make too many decisions on just the peak of emotional state, whether it's anger or jealousy or anything of that nature. But I love this speech, not speech, this interview. This is like something that we should be revisiting, because personal development is something that we should be working on forever, because we're always trying to level up. And that's really what it's all about. Like me, myself, I always have a coach at all times. That's why I bring amazing people like Tony on this live to this group, because it's important that if it helps even just one person, one line, one Dr. Seuss quote, one Tony Robbins quote, Jim Rohn quote, whatever it is, those little things like literally give you the clarity, because so many people are stating facts. When you give it through a storyline, or like the boiling point of water, we're 2 degrees shy, it hits home, and it can make somebody make that shift to say, fuck the excuses. I don't care if I've been burned. I don't care if somebody did this to me. I'm not a victim of that. I can get up and grow.
That's right. That's right. And we'll do more on the get up and grow at another time, because really the anatomy of a fall is really important to understand as well. So if anybody's interested in that, shoot me a DM and I'll probably be able to share a video or something.
Yeah. Is it cool if I drop your Facebook
Please,
link? Okay.
please.
I'll drop Tony's Facebook link in this live thread too.
Yeah, and you can
Awesome.
drop my website as well. It's just www.getup, the letter N, grow, getupandgrow.com. And of course, you can also check out nourish.me for the other product. And send me a message, email me, send me a DM, whatever, on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. With any questions, be happy to respond whenever I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on today, Tony.
Awesome, man. Listen, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here and for the impact that you're making in the world, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, likewise.